Black Lives Matter activists and proponents are emphatically asserting, he said, the police are targeting blacks with lethal force, shooting and killing them in circumstances that they wouldn't shoot or kill whites. He said this is the whole premise behind Black Lives Matter. However, he said, according to the Washington Post database, over the last 5 years, and by the way, he put this up in 2021, over the last 5 years, there have typically been between 30% to 100% more unarmed whites killed by police than unarmed blacks. For instance, in 2020, he said, there were 457 whites shot and killed by the police compared to 243 blacks. "24 of the whites killed were unarmed compared to 18 of the blacks." He said, again, it's worth noting that in every case, in virtually every case, the suspect, whether black or white, was resisting violently or with a weapon, or with what was perceived to be a weapon. Now, he said that the violent crime rates are much higher among blacks than among whites. It would lead you to believe that there would be even more police shootings and killings of blacks than there are. But it turns out he found that the police were more hesitant, more reluctant to pull the trigger on the black suspect than on the white suspect. Wall Street Journal reports, quote, African Americans, I'm just reading the term, I don't use the term African American, I'm an American who's black, I think African American is a ridiculous term, but I'm just humble reporter here. Wall Street Journal reports, quote, African Americans make up 53% of known homicide offenders in the U.S., commit about 60% of the robberies, though they are 13% of the population. Let me repeat that. Blacks make up 53% of known homicide offenders, or perps, and commit 60% of the robberies, even though they are 13% of the population. The gentleman who's called me a self-loathing black person, I'm sure you are not happy about those numbers, but I would imagine the Wall Street Journal is probably basing it on something bogus as well, right? As for non-violent homicide crime, the DOJ's National Crime Victimization Survey, and this is important. The man said the FBI numbers are not reliable. Well, they keep two surveys. One are FBI numbers. Another one is called the National Victimization Survey. And that's asking people whether or not they had been victims of crime, whether they called the police or not, reported it or not. And based on those surveys, whites commit about 48% of non-fatal violent crimes, blacks 35%, again at 13% of the population. But again, police have killed, in the last 5 years, an average of 39% more unarmed whites than unarmed blacks, despite the fact that there are much higher crime rates within the black community. Quote, the raw statistics suggest that there is actually a slight anti-white bias in police applications of lethal force. And then he starts talking about the Ferguson effect, or what some people are calling the George Floyd effect. Quote, in 2014, after the shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis, the BLM movement's anti-police rhetoric and propaganda found a receptive audience. As police were demonized with falsehoods, their morale declined, and their willingness to engage in proactive policing, such as street stops for suspicious behavior and other forms of policing designed to prevent firearm crimes, that stuff plummeted.